And in terms of, I think that because I'm integrating what you're saying, it used to be that sometimes I would, so my question is about sleep.
There you go. You
Yes.
used the word integrity.
Yes.
Now you're using the word integrating.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about this.
To be really direct, I think that in the past, I wasn't always as honest as I could be. And I think that I just...
Can't you just be out of bagels?
I think that the way I compensated for being out of bagels was that I would pretend I would say I had bagels.
We know, but can't you just be out of bagels? In other words, what's this need to explain it?
Well, I think what happens is that because...
We know.
Yeah, okay.
We know. That tendency is a bad habit. You're really good at articulating. Your mind is very fast. And the law of attraction is responding to you in rapid fire. But there's something more significant that we want to help you to feel. And that is in all of that, start again, in most of that, say it better, in much of that, say it better, in all of that contemplation, there is a focus that is not letting you do what we are asking you to do, which is to tend to your point of attraction. Words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches. And we can talk all day, every day, to all of you. We almost do. About how to rise to your understanding of your deservability. Because if you really understood your deservability, you wouldn't spend so much time explaining to somebody who's not listening why you're standing here instead of over there. You're just there on your way to where you're going, but you're not wrong in being there. And so when you use the word like integrity, we want to know who you owe this integrity to, because there's not someone holding you to that.
Well, the holding it is probably come from myself. I think that I have in the past felt like my worthiness wasn't whole.
That must have sounded like a question that wanted you to do more of the same thing they were trying to get you to stop doing.
It wasn't?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. That's that explaining where I am, this incessant explaining where I am, as if you need to explain something because you're not in the perfect place, but you are in the perfect place. You're just right where you are, now what? You're just right where you are, now what? Some years ago, Jerry and Esther were in Orlando. They had a rental car. It had a navigation system in, one of the early ones. And Esther is driving. Jerry was always the navigator. He resented the navigation systems a little bit, quite a little bit. And so Esther had programmed it, and off they went. They were going from Orlando to another nearby city. And Jerry watched Esther, and he watched her program it, and he watched her follow it. And after a little while, he said, "You do know you're going exactly the opposite direction that we're wanting to go." And Esther was aghast. What? How can that possibly be? I put the address in. I know I did it right. I did everything that this navigation system has told me to do. Jerry said, "I agree with all of that. However, you do know that you're going in the opposite direction." And Esther said, "No, I didn't know. And I don't know if I'm even willing to admit it, even though the compass clearly shows that." And Esther said, "I've got a really good idea. Let's go back to where we started. We'll program it again so that we'll make sure that I did program it right. And then you watch with me and you help me see where I misunderstood or where I took the wrong turn." And Jerry said, "Or we could just start from where we are and start going to where we want to be." No, I would like to know, because I'm not used to making mistakes, and I don't like to make mistakes, and I'm a very intelligent girl, and I pay attention to what I'm doing, and the navigation system seemed like it knew what it was doing. Of course, they didn't go back, but Esther had a really strong desire to retrace her steps and find her mistake. Really? Really? Really?
When this is heaven on earth, really? That's what we're going to spend time doing.
When where you are is where you are, and where you want to be is where you want to be, and you really want to stall out your flame by turning it on and off and 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 getting so good. Write 10 billion books on personalities and on goal setting and on getting to where you want to be and on every process in the world. In other words, write all the books and read all the books, or pay attention to the way you feel. Tend to your point of attraction, because you ask and it's queued up, and any thought, word, or action that feels good to you right now is the path. You want it to be a faster path. Esther tells everyone that she interacts with, I like instant manifestation. And we want to say to all of you, you've got it. You've got instant manifestation, but it's here, and then it's here, and then it's here. And this is really the point that you're giving us an opportunity to make as clearly as we've ever made it. We want you to like it when you're here. We like you to like it when you realize that you're not really where you're meant to be. We just think that's such a good realization. And we like it when you just give yourself a break and say, all right, now what? And we like it when you reach for a thought and you can feel its offness, and then you reach for another thought and you can feel its offness, and then you reach for another one and you can feel its offness, until you feel one that feels a little more on. Not the end all of all good thoughts, not the thought that takes you like a laser beam directly to what you want and yields an instant manifestation into your experience. That's not how the universe works. You did not say, I'll go, I'll get really good, and then I'll point and it'll come. Because that would be like saying, I'll go and I'll miss all the contemplation. I'll miss all the savoring. I'll miss all the molding into place. You might as well just go to the gallery and buy somebody else's picture. I like that one. I'll take that one home. Yeah, well, it's beautiful. We agree with you. And it would look great in your house. And you did attract it to you, and so we're not mocking that, but it is so much more fun to paint your own painting. It's so much more fun to mold your life than it is to try to fit in where somebody else. And we don't want to burst any of your bubbles, but they don't care. Friends, nobody gets you. Nobody gets you. Nobody's been where you've been. Nobody's wanted what you want. Nobody stands where you stand in relationship to your inner being and all the things that you want. And so when you say, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? You're just introducing all of their probable clutter into the equation. Yeah.
I think that this probably does already answer the question about sleep, which is just that I think that doing this during the day is easier. I think I have more reserves at night.
Reserves for what?
I think just to
reserves
to keep the focus on my feelings.
You see, you don't need reserves when you've got a direct conduit to source energy.
Okay.
And when you know how to get there. I feel happy. It's flowing. I'm interested. It's flowing. I'm eager. It's flowing. I'm worried. It's slowed way, way down.
But it's an inherent, it feels like an active process. So which is why at night when I'm trying to sleep, then I end up in an active place and
You're doing that thing again.
Okay.
We are so appreciative because almost everybody does it. Esther does plenty of it too. There's this thing. Here I am, not quite where I want to be, and I feel a need to explain or to speculate. Speculate 100% of the time incorrectly. When you think of the word speculation, think of the words 100% of the time incorrect. 100% of the time incorrect. Because your speculation is based upon what you've lived and maybe even what is, and it has nothing to do with what your inner being is over here tending and what you have access to.
So be where I am and be happy whether I'm awake or trying.
Or do your best to be that. In other words, we don't want to give you the impression that you're doing anything wrong here. You are where you are. You are where you are, and it's got to be all right because it's where you are. But now what? But now what? Well, I hear you, Abraham, and before I go, I'd just like to explain to you how I got here. Please don't. Well, can I just explain to you how much I don't like being here? That's not a good idea either. Well, could I please just explain to you whose fault it is mostly that I am here? Because it goes back to very deep. It's really not a good idea. Because all of that implies, with all that integrity that everybody's trying to teach you, that there are these rights and these wrongs, and you've been carrying them around, and you got yourself all balled up about what's the right thing to do. And you know what's the right thing to do? What your inner being is calling you to. And you know what that feels like? That feels like eagerness. That feels like a good idea. That feels like freedom. That feels like openness. Sometimes stuff happens that you think, oh, that's about the last thing that I would like to happen. And you know what it is? It's a manifestation that helps you to make a decision that you could have made here, and you could have made it 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 here. But you had all that damn integrity that you had to honor, that you learned along all your path, all those people that were saying, gotta do that, and don't forget that, and remember that. And you've got all these things that you carry around that you could support and tell long stories about. And so you could have, but you didn't. And now it's a manifestation. And now this blessed, terrible, no good, very bad, rotten, terrible, horrible, unwanted, rat bastard manifestation that you don't want. Oh, what a blessing that is, because it's finally got your attention and helping you make the decision that you could have made here and here and here and here and here and here, but you didn't. You hired this guy. He wasn't very nice to you, but you should love thy neighbor. So you did. And then things started disappearing from your work shed, but the Good Samaritan. And then he didn't show up on a lot of days, but he had really good explanations that were all untrue. But you want to give people the best that you can. And then he burns your whole place down. And you think, could have done it here, could have done it here. Now, we know we're getting a little dramatic here. It wasn't easy to get in his attention. We still don't have it. It's not easy. It's not easy to, we've got it. It's not easy to stop trending the way you've been trending. You know why? Because you trended deliberately out of integrity. You did it on purpose. You kept the rules. You do what's right. You do your best to be an upstanding citizen. But you don't take care of your point of attraction unless you care about how you feel and you move in the direction of what feels best.